they're starting to understand each other. And I think the reacclimation and reintroduction of Steve Nash into the lineup has made that happen. I mean, I don't look at it as a 5-game winning streak per se, because they beat Washington. They were life and death with Charlotte. Those wins don't measure up to the last two, Golden State and yesterday against New York. But having Steve Nash back, I'm seeing some differences with this team. I'm seeing Steve Nash get Pau Gasol more involved. I'm seeing Steve Nash orchestrate the offense better than Chris Duhon could or Steve Blake before he got injured could in the fourth quarter of games. I'm seeing a team that looks much more comfortable and confident on the floor at a nightly basis.
Well, I think the 5 games that they played are perfect. The NBA gods lined up just perfect so they can get their thing going. Steve Nash obviously doesn't make everybody better. He just makes their job easier. So things that got tension-wise before is not there no more. Dwight's a little bit easier. Obviously, Powell coming back off of his injury, it makes him a lot better. But most importantly, it gives that confidence, not only to the coach and upstairs.
What do you mean tension-wise, Cedric?
Tension-wise, because you're trying to figure out how I'm going to score. Do I want it on the block? Do I like this pick and roll? Am I going to be more consistent? Am I pick and pop guy? Dwight was a little confused, I think, in the first couple of games. I'd say about 10 and what he was going to do. And then also his injuries weren't there. But back to what I was saying before, upstairs, they're a little confused on what's going on. I think Kobe's frustration has minimized a little bit because he's getting about 4 to 6 shots easy because of Steve Nash.
Well, I mean, isn't that what kind of Kobe does? I mean, he's a scorer. I mean, he's not really a facilitator. He was kind of like, filling that role until Nash came back. I mean, I'm amazed, so much of their season is predicated on what Steve Nash does. If Steve Nash isn't here, we're back to irrelevancy. As soon as he comes back, we're back in the mix again. But how far in the mix? I mean, how far can Steve Nash take this team? Because really, in the end, it seems like that's what we're talking about, right? So for me, I think if you're a Lakers fan, okay, you got to be cautiously optimistic because they look pretty good. I mean, they held the Knicks to 94 points, and defense was the biggest question mark for me. I don't think Steve Nash is the next, Michael Jordan or Dennis Rodman when it comes to playing defense, but he does what he does, and you got to be, excited about the future. And this, the season really starting December 25th, and now you kind of got your guy back, and now he's starting to, feed the ball to all the shooters. The guys are getting more shots. Gasol's getting more shots. He's kind of hanging in that little 15-foot area where he's kind of most comfortable. So you got to figure guys are gonna somehow kind of fill in the role. My only issue is it might be a little bit too late. How much time will it take for these guys to really get to championship basketball?
So for you, the 5-game win streak means nothing.
No, I think you're cautiously optimistic. I think you don't want to buy in completely because you don't want to be let down.
Okay.
But at the same time, you're like, okay, wait a second. I can see what they were talking about for so long.
Yeah. Okay. And I think Steve Nash, everybody's saying Steve Nash is the problem solver. I don't think that's the case here. Mm-hmm. The problem solver was Pau Gasol. If he plays well with the interior, outerior with him and Dwight, that's what makes this team so effective. He has to be aggressive. He has to put himself in a position to score. And where is the Lakers bench? That's the big reason that they have been waiting.
Defense is still a mega problem for your beloved Lakers there. They're not going to be able to defend some of the better teams in the Western Conference. But two things that I've liked in this past week, we mentioned Gasol. Look in the fourth quarter of that game yesterday. They were going to him in the low post. That's something they haven't done before. He got to the free throw line, made 1 of 2. Late in the game, he's on the floor in a key situation in the fourth quarter. He's going to the basket, finishing at the rim. That you have to be ecstatic if you're a Lakers fan. You see that out of Pau Gasol and see him start to reincorporate. The other thing we're seeing a lot of, what's kind of flown under the radar, Metta World Peace in this past week or so has really lifted his game up. And it coincides sort of with the interview Kobe gave where he basically said we need more out of Metta. He has to be one of the guys. He's won a championship. He has to bring something to the table. He brought something offensively during the end of that road trip. He scored 20 points in the last 2 games. He was making life miserable for Carmelo Anthony in the fourth quarter of that game last night. He has been very effective over this last week.
When you talk about Lakers defense, that is all predicated off of world peace. He wants to guard their best player. So he got motivated in the last 2 games. One, he's got to guard Carmelo Anthony, trying to stop him. So that's what picks his energy up. He needs to be there against the guys who are not great offensive players or become a threat to him as well.
Well, let's talk about Paul for a minute. Let's go back to that. You think we should trade him? We, as if. Do you think the Lakers? I'm trying to be neutral. Let me be neutral. Do you think the Lakers should trade Pau Gasol?
I think they should seriously look into options for trading him because I think that Pau doesn't fit with the way Mike D'Antoni wants to play. And one thing I do know about Mike D'Antoni is that he's not going to change. He didn't change in New York. The reason he quit with the Knicks is because he and Carmelo couldn't find a way to mesh. Carmelo wouldn't change. Mike D'Antoni wasn't going to change. So Mike D'Antoni walked away. He's not going to change right now. Mike D'Antoni's not all of a sudden going to wake up tomorrow and decide, hey, I love throwing the ball into the post. Hey, let's play isolation basketball. That's my new thing right there. So if you're not going to play that way, let's get some guys in that can play that way.
Who are they? Who are the guys?
I think a team like Boston should be somewhere that Mike D'Antoni or the Lakers should look, because you got guys like Jeff Green, who's still trying to bounce back from that heart ailment. They've got a kid in Avery Bradley, who's a young, active defender at the 2-guard spot. I'm not saying Boston will be overly interested in a Pau Gasol deal, but they have been interested in the past in Gasol. And if you can make something like that work, Boston gets bigger with Gasol. They need someone to play alongside Kevin Garnett. The Lakers get an active 2-guard in Avery Bradley and a stretch 4 in Jeff Green, who's going to be a better fit for this system. Players don't win championships. If they fit into the system, that's what's going to win a championship.
But also the championship predicate is always going into the post. You have to do that.
Sure.
You have to have a post present. Mike D'Antoni hasn't had that. So if he moves on and puts Powell in a different scenario, then you lose out, because Powell can post up. Obviously, he was posting up Carmelo Anthony yesterday, but he can post up, and he has been effective to win championships on the post.